Welcome to the post-game wrap-up show here on PoconoSnow.org. It was a tough and frustrating loss tonight for the Snow as they fall in the waiting minutes of this one. A 2-1 loss to JR Lone Star, and now the Snow fall to 1-2-1 on the year. I'm Matt Catrillo. Alongside me is Mr. Jim Shupak, our public address announcer here for the Snow home games. And Jim, just a tough loss here tonight for the Snow after such a great win against Bucksmont here on Wednesday night. And it was a 0-0 game almost towards the last 15 minutes of the game, and that's when the game really got crazy. JR scored their first goal. Bob Pipich came out for the save. The ball went over his fingertips, and then it was finished off and tapped in for a 1-0 lead for JR. Then the Snow came back, and Roshane Ellison scoring his third goal of the season to tie the game at 1 with only about 5 minutes to go left in the game. And then in the extra injury time, there were about 4 minutes of injury time after the 90th minute passed by in the latter part of the game, and JR capitalized on a really crazy bicycle kick that went past Bob Pipich and giving them their first win of the season at 2-1. So Jim, just the way this game went from start to finish, first half was very physical. We'll get to that part in the second, and then second half comes and JR really dictated the second half. As we were kind of saying, we kind of used this thing that the field was kind of shifting on the defensive side of the Snow, and because basically that's where most of the play of the second half was the entire time, and that's obviously not good if you're the Snow for one part. Just tough loss tonight. I don't know really what else to say.
No, like you said, Matt. I mean, that second half, the field really was tilted. It was one of those where it looked like they had maybe 10. Wouldn't even surprise me if the goalkeeper was up past midfield at certain points in time during that second half, because they were really taking it to the Snow. Bob Pipich standing on his head for most of the game. I mean, the first half he made 3 very quality saves, and just unfortunately, the one that just got over his fingertips and they were able to put away. But at the same time, you keep knocking on the door, giving them those opportunities, something like that's bound to happen.
You know, and the first goal that JR scored with 15 minutes to go in the game, that when Bob Pipich came out to try and make that save, I mean, that's all part of the game. Bob Pipich is very good at coming out, making a save, and then keeping the play going, getting out to one of his defenders on the far side of the field. But unfortunately, he overplayed it, went over his fingertips, and then JR's guy was right there to knock it through.
Exactly. And the thing is, though, Bob's been strong the entire season, like you said, Matt, and at the same time, I have to give Roshane Ellison and the Snow some credit for their resiliency in coming back, because, you allow what would be considered, a potentially poor goal there. It's easy to keep your head down, put your head down, and just like, oh my gosh, we have, 10 minutes remaining in the game here. Man, another game, another loss, what have you, but got to give Roshane, give the players credit for coming back. Roshane puts one away, but unfortunately, they just had too much time left. Junior Lone Star, for that final comeback. Exactly,
and that was such a deflating goal, but let's just really look at everything from a big picture standpoint, Jim. We go back to the Reading game, and even the Hershey game too, for that matter. A lot of scoring chances, but some of them weren't quality, as devastating towards the opponent, that being JR, but they were still there the opportunities were still there to be taken, and again, we're not finished by the Snow. So you went from a game on Wednesday night where they finished 2 of those chances, a 2-0 victory over Bucksmont, and you come back with all that momentum here tonight, and you can't finish them again. And so again, I don't know what it is about this team, Jim, and we've debated about this many times. And for all the Snow's existence in this league, in the National Premier Soccer League, they just cannot score.
No, exactly. And the thing is, Coach Chesky even said it in the post-game interview the other day about, Roshane's been working hard, knocking on the door. He finally got 2, gets 1 here tonight, but it's a matter of how about get some other guys involved, get some other guys potentially to score, because it's tough for that one person to continue to just shoulder the entire load. I mean, soccer's played by 11 guys. Anyone, and I'm sure if it's late enough in the game, Bob Pipich will make a run up there, but regardless, really, any of the 10 outfield players, they have every right to score just as well. Soccer's entirely you defend as a team, but you also attack as a team, which means any of those other guys have the opportunity to score, and when you do, you got to put it away.
And speaking of Coach Jerry Sheska, this is what he had to say after tonight's loss. Here with me now is Coach Sheska after a very tough and frustrating loss tonight to JR Lone Star, 2-1. the final score. And Coach, what happened in the last 2 goals there?
Wow, right at the end.
What a crazy last couple minutes.
It really was. Well, the first goal he scored, I'm not exactly sure what happened. Our goalie overran it, but he kept us in up to that point. It was unfortunate. And that kid with the bicycle kick, which you don't see often, that was I guess it was a bad goal, but it was a good goal, in terms of the way the guy struck it. And then we came back. We showed a lot of heart, and we came back and tied it up. And then you can't give a goal up with a couple minutes to go. You can't give it up. And I thought it seemed like we had the momentum on our side, and I thought we were going to score a second goal and win the game, but it didn't work out. They're a really good team. I really think it's the best team we played so far. They didn't have many weaknesses out there.
Now, if you refer back to, I guess, the first, especially the Reading game, guys had a lot of scoring chances. Some were, devastating scoring chances towards the opponent, but you still had those scoring chances, and there was a couple by Rochane. You had one by Xavier Rochepal.
Yeah.
You had the offside call that negated a 1-on-1 opportunity for Rochane. So again, you guys had those chances missed again.
We did, and against a good team. I don't think Reading was the caliber of this team. Like I said, they didn't have a whole lot of weaknesses, and we had to play really well to stay with them, and then plus we did create the chances, but as I told the guys, we have to put those chances away. You don't get that many in games like this, and you have to put away what you can, and you have to be very careful on the defensive end. You can't give anything away, which we did. So at this level you can't afford mistakes.
And I think that's well said there, Coach. Now, looking ahead, you guys got a 2-game road trip coming up before you come back here in a week and a half against Binghamton. You have Sonic, your rival, coming up, and they're probably going to be hungry for their first wins. They just lost against Reading.
Yeah.
And then you go next Saturday to Reading, who's ahead of you right now in the standings. So overall, that's good. And with this loss here tonight, the way the game ended, what's going to be the approach now? What do you tell the guys?
We were just telling them, we have to go one game at a time. We've gotten better. We're improving. We're playing more cohesive as a team, and we have to keep showing that. We can't worry about records. We got to worry about performance. So if you perform well and you do the right things, success will come with that. So that's what we're trying to emphasize. Just keep playing well as a team. Keep your heads up. It's a tough one to lose. It's very frustrating and difficult for them. But it's still a long way to go. We have to look at it positive and she's trying to get better.
Coach Jerry Sheska, thanks very much. So, Jim, as you can tell in the post-game interview there with Coach Sheska, you can tell he's very frustrated. And as before we interviewed him, after the game, he got all the guys around and really said something we couldn't tell exactly what he was saying, but it was kind of like, let's go, guys. Let's forget about this. We have 2 tough road games coming up before we come back here at home. Now we really got some work to do, so let's just forget about it and keep going.
Exactly, and the irony of the thing is, in recent years, the Snow actually have been a pretty decent away team where they've actually gotten some of their more impressive wins on the road. So let's just hope that they can go away, get some points, come back here to Eiler Martin Stadium on Wednesday the 12th, and continue that trend.
And that's a good point you bring up, Jim. Last year, when the Snow had 3 points, it was I think they went 2-2-1 on the road, a 5-game road trip. 2-2-1 they went. So maybe some of that road magic will come back this time. They got 2 tough road matches come up. We're going to get that in a second. We have Sonic, their rival, who's 0-2, by the way, last place in the standings. So they're going to be hungry for a win. So that's going to be a tough matchup. And then you go to Reading, who they tied here in their season opener a couple weeks ago down there. And now they're a point behind Reading for third place. As Reading and J.R. Lawrence Star now are in a 2-way tie for third in the Keystone standings. So going to be a tough road trip coming up.
Oh, without a doubt. And the cool thing about our division this year is it doesn't seem like there's that one absolute dominant team outside of really Hershey. Like Hershey seems to be the team right now who kind of has, I say, the upper hand. They've been playing well right from the start, and they're reaping the awards. Excuse me. But regardless, aside from that, it's open for anybody. Really, whoever gets hot at the right time could wind up finishing potentially in second. And I wouldn't put it past the Snow as long as they continue to play like they did in the midweek game, and they bring that to the away matches and come back here, play well. I'm not going to put anything past the Jerry Sheska coach team. And
Coach Sheska said in the interview that you just saw here on the post-game show that they're playing well and everyone's coming together. It's just they got to finish up the scoring chances. And as we mentioned time and time again, Jim, that's been the plague of this team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing about soccer.
We're on that stuff to say.
Yeah, but that's the thing about soccer. It's basically, if you don't score, you can't win. As simple as that, And Rochane, 3 goals in 2 games, my hat goes off to him. But we got to get more goal scoring involved. We have to get more players involved. I mean, we did see at certain times some players in the back were trying to take shots. I saw Mike Kane take a couple shots in the back just to see what we could do. And I mean, I think some of that could be frustration and just seeing if you can put it on goal. But anything can happen. Anything can happen.
And one other storyline from this game today, Jim, 26 fouls called today, 15 for JR Lone Star, 11 for the Pocono Snow, and in the first half, JR Lone Star led in that category 12-3 in fouls, so JR really brought the physicality tonight.
Yes, they did, especially like you said, for that first half, 12-3, a lot of potential foul, that could have been maybe a little bit more, a yellow percentage, but it is what it is. It's the flow of the game that was kind of dictated, and in the second half, I think potentially maybe you got a little bit frustrated too that certain calls weren't made, what have you. It's just, it is what it is,
I think there was no doubt about that because, it was very hot conditions out here tonight, Jim. Almost 90 degrees at kickoff, and it stayed fairly warm throughout the game. And as the Snow were getting more frustrated, especially when the second half started, because JR was dictating the tempo, as I mentioned in the beginning part of the show. And when your side is tilted throughout, like you mentioned, Jim, throughout the whole game, that's what's going to happen. Frustration is going to occur, and then you're going to commit bad fouls, and that's exactly what happened.
Oh yeah, I mean, and as the game went on, especially mid to late in the second half, there were some that almost looked like I was watching American football as opposed to soccer out here. Yeah, I just think it was some of the frustration that kind of set in with the Snow players, and unfortunately, just part of the game. So not much else that can be said in that respect.
So the next 3 games, like I mentioned before, a 2-game road trip coming up for the Snow. They go to Sonic next Wednesday, and then next Saturday they go to the Running Revolution before they return here at Eiler Martin Stadium Wednesday, June 12th at 7 p.m. against Binghamton. And depending on how the Snow do, Jim, that could be the game of the season.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I mean, talking about the game of the season, it could even be this next one coming up against Sonic, because if there's one game that the Snow absolutely, positively want to win, especially
no doubt, it's Sonic.
It's against
no
Sonic.
Doubt.
Sonic right now being the NPSL champion. If you want a game that's going to give the team the confidence that they need to go into the rest of the season, is to beat them away. To beat them away, you might see an entirely new Snows team coming into the second part of the season.
No doubt about that, Jim. Of course, we all would love to see that win. So Hopefully they can come up with the win against the Sonic and then against the Running Revolution. And then hopefully we're talking about a 2-game winning streak coming into the next home match against Binghamton right here at Eiler Martin Stadium. That's Wednesday night, June 12th at 7 o'clock. That's going to do it for this edition of the post-game wrap-up show here on PoconoSnow.org. A tough loss tonight for the Snow as they fall 2-1 to JR Lone Star. For Jim Shupak, I'm Matt Catrillo. Have a great night, Snow fans.